It's afternoon already, isn't it?
Okay, let's go.
Right. Good afternoon, guys. How is everyone this lovely cold afternoon? Now, here with me in the studio of Naija FM, guess who I have with me? I have Fela Durotoye. I got it right.
Yes, you did.
Thank you. The one of our Nigerian presidential aspirants, and he is candidates. I told you it was candidates. Yeah, candidates, and he is the candidate for the ANN party.
Yes, Alliance for New Nigeria.
Oh, thank you so much, Fela. Thank you so much for joining me. I think it is lovely that we are able to at least get in touch with those who want to lead us. Because it's nice to be in touch with the people.
Yes, indeed.
So I just have to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
So can we start off by me asking you about your party and what it stands for?
So, thank you so much for having me on Naija FM, and it's nice to be connected with the people watching online. Once again, my name is Fela Durotoye. I'm the presidential candidate for the Alliance for New Nigeria Party, ANN. That's the party with the logo of the lion in the 2019 presidential elections in Nigeria. ANN was founded by technocrats. In other words, people who were not career politicians, people who have a job, people who are professionals, but people who believed that we cannot continue to build our businesses and build our careers and yet leave the role of governance to people who we wouldn't even hire into the businesses that we're building. And so, to a large extent, we've seen how a blessed nation like Nigeria, with abundant mineral resources, natural resources, and human resources, a nation that has the capacity to be amongst one of the greatest nations on earth, has, due to bad leadership, become the home to some of the poorest people in the world. We're now described as the poverty capital of the world. Yeah. More than 90 million people in Nigeria are living in abject poverty. More than 60 million Nigerians go to bed hungry every night. It is more likely that a woman will die from childbirth in Nigeria than any other nation on earth. Yeah. Any child that is born in Nigeria, out of 5 children that are born, one of them is most guaranteed not to get to the age of 5. And of course, you know it. I mean, those who get into school, who stay alive can't get into school. We now have 13.2 million children out of school. And I'm going somewhere with this, please. And more importantly, those who even stay in school, many times they miss school because there are strikes. I mean, what we call ASU, and probably Nigerians.
Well, I do, yeah.
they understand the academic staff union, or university union. They've been on strike for the last 90 days.
90 days.
And nothing. So those who managed to even go through all that ordeal and graduate now can't find a job. Now, so 10 million Nigerians today are recorded to not have been able to find, they are in the labor market, haven't ever found a job. 23 million Nigerians are unemployed. Another 17 million Nigerians are underemployed in a nation that is so blessed.
Can I interrupt you there? But you're saying something that I said in a show, and I left there wondering if I had said the right thing, but listening to you say that, I know I did, because I said that it's sad that Nigerians, as students in primary school, work so hard, and they work harder than any child would work in the UK to stay in school. In secondary school, they work so hard to move on to university. They get to university, they work so hard, only to finish university, and that's where a lot of their lives end.
Yes, and it ends because of 2 reasons. Number one, because the bad leadership, or rulership as I call it, that has plagued Nigeria for the last 50 odd years, have confined Nigeria's potential, have constricted our ability to be able to grow as a nation. And essentially what it's done is that it's killed businesses, and it's killed opportunities for businesses to grow and hire young, vibrant Nigerians who would have built careers and skills and maybe started businesses of their own. And so because of that, we are an underperforming nation. And for that reason, we have now become the nation that has one of the highest degrees of unemployment, which is now leading to unbelievable crisis with opioids and drug addiction. Now we are now seeing suicide rates go through the
That is
roof,
sad, yes.
and then more importantly, you're seeing migration in ways that cannot be described. I mean, every year in Nigeria, 20,000 young Nigerians are crossing the Libyan desert and trying to make it across the Mediterranean Sea. 21 families,
Yeah.
21 families are leaving Nigeria by air every week through the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos alone. So what we're saying is that we have a crisis on our hands.
But doesn't it
people have
also-
left, and we need people who know how to build a nation, who have built businesses, who have built their economies, who have built their careers, who have shown excellence in something and have been able to produce something. And that is the reason why people like that needed to find a platform that will give expression and a level playing field. If you look at the current parties, most of them do not create that enabling environment for people who are smart and who are visionary, because they want to have the cabals who are the ones who keep and hold power.
Yeah.
And so what we've done in Alliance for New Nigeria is to create a party that is founded on 3 values. Number 1, transparency. Number 2, integrity. And number 3, excellence. And we've said we are not going to zone anything to anybody. The only thing we zone is excellence. In other words, if you have what it takes, you run on that platform. There is no godfather, there are no cabals, there is no one person or the other that holds the purse strings of the
strings, yes.
So nobody to repay. That is why the Alliance for New Nigeria has been the platform that has helped. And the youngest candidate in Nigeria today is a 25-year-old guy who's running for the State House of Assembly in Ogun State. That's the kind of party that we are.
That's what we need in Nigeria.
It's the party for the future of Nigeria. It's the party for the new Nigeria.
Yeah.
Not just the old one that we have not been very happy with.
And I think I really respect what you have said just now, because one of the things I wanted to add to what you were saying, apart from breeding all these poor innocent people that have no faith in living, committing suicide, unemployment, it's also what breeds the dishonesty within our community. Because people are so hungry that to survive, they have to con or scam their family, and also there's this big class system that people attain. They want to get to that height of being wealthy and honored, because if you're an ordinary person, you're nobody.
And you're so right, because again, like we've seen, I was born into a nation where things worked for everyone.
Yes.
I was born into a nation where you didn't
Into
have to be
lovely
rich
Nigeria.
to have a vision of one day becoming great.
Yeah.
Where public schools that were free provided quality education that will give you, what it took to become a leader and to succeed in life.
Definitely.
I was born into a nation where if you didn't have money, the healthcare systems were free, and therefore you could get healthcare. So you didn't have to steal to be able to live well.
Yeah.
The power system was going, nobody was having to buy generators, you didn't need a borehole. So bottom line is, whenever a nation works, people don't have the necessity to want to steal. And so for us, the more important thing has been, how do we restore the glory of Nigeria? How do we take us not back to the old days, but how do we take us forward to our greater days? And for us, that is what this is all about. And diasporans especially have a role to play.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Because you know why? Because today you are living in the future of Nigeria. When you guys, I'm just earlier this week, I was in a place called Omo, Ekiti, which is deep in the heart of Ekiti land, right in Ekiti state. And cut the long story short, the king of Omo was saying to me that the people of Omo have not had light for 12 years.
Wait, hold on.
No. So you
12
I'm going to say it
years.
again. They have not had light, like a bulb blink, in 12 years, in 2019.
Can I ask you? I know Ekiti because I'm from Malaysia. Now, Ekiti, that's Ondo State.
Yes.
So
Well, Ekiti State now, so they've
they've divided, right. So how far is that village from a main town?
So first of all, it is a main town.
Oh.
Okay, so let's start with that. Because Omo is not a village. Omo is a town deep in the heart of Ekiti. Okay, but let me put it this way: so you've got professors from Umo, you've got
Exactly.
people, right? And then when you go there, you would see all the street lights and the wires.
They've got
They
street
had
lights.
light. They had light. Have not had light for 12 years. And so for me, this is not just about winning an election. This is about restoring the dignity of life to Nigerians.
Yes.
This is about making sure that we are able to secure and protect the lives of people and their property, but more importantly, improve the quality of life and the standard of living. This is what every government should be caring about. And so this is what we have to fix. And diasporans, more than anybody, are the ones who typically have breached the failure in our social security, right, at home. They are the ones who send money home.
Yes,
in other words,
yes.
if you look at it, diasporans in 2017 sent $22 billion home to Nigeria. That's 5% of our entire gross domestic product, GDP. So diasporans, but the challenge is, as influential as diasporans are, they do not advise or instruct those who are at home on how to vote.
They don't allow us.
We're
not even allowed to vote.
No, but that's the interesting thing. So whilst you may not be allowed to use your thumb to vote, nobody's stopping you from using your tongue to instruct the people that you send money to. You send money home,
That is true.
and you influence those people. So if you were to also be able to tell them that, listen, there are two parties that have failed Nigeria to the place where we are. In fact, in reality, there are one party.
I was just about to ask you something. I was going to say to you that you just said there's two parties, but I believe that there's one party because they all flip-flop between parties.
Exactly. God bless your heart. I mean, the way I am Fela Durotoye, I say, well, that's two names for one person. The same way there's APC and PDP. It's two names for one party.
I agree
it's two names for one party.
I agree
and
with
because
you
the parties are the same, they have the same ideology, they use the same construct, they use the same strategy, they use the same thing. And then, of course, the people
they swap over when they're upset
So for
with
us,
each other.
the most important thing is the diasporans must understand that you are in a unique place of influence and that you must use that influence to get the people in Nigeria to do the right thing and to get us the right results.
And do you agree that social media can play a great role in that?
Oh, absolutely. Because, I mean, essentially, diasporans, first of all, are on social media. And there are most of the people who are in Nigeria who do not vote that are on social media. Sometimes people say to me, Fela, you guys, you're not going after the market woman. And we do reach out to the market woman because we are concerned. But I always tell them, I said, look, there are two kinds of people in any elections. There are the voters and then there are the floaters. Okay? And the floaters are those who are old enough and to vote, but sometimes they do not vote because they have their voter's card, but they do not vote. Sometimes they cannot vote because they didn't even get their voter's card. All right? So in 2015, in the previous elections, right, there were 28 million voters for the two parties, but there were, guess what? 68 million floaters.
Wow.
In other words, the floaters are literally
that's nearly a third of the
times the number. So if only we are able to get those who don't vote to decide to vote, we will get a new Nigeria.
And how do you do that?
And basically, good question. By convincing them. And what convinces them is that it's not money, because in the last elections there was money to give to them, but they didn't receive it. They want a credible ideology from a credible candidate running on a credible party.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree with me if I said that it appears to me that Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians, let me not say all, but a lot of Nigerians do not vote via mandate, that they vote via popularity of the person, if that's the right way to put it.
Well, let's say that this way again. Those who vote mostly vote via funding, money. So they're incentivized to vote. And one of the things that happens is that the money usually is the money that is stolen from the people. I like to say it this way. What politicians usually do is they steal the bakery and give you a slice of bread during campaign. All right? And it's your bakery that they stole, not anybody else's bakery. So they steal the money for roads, they steal the money for hospitals, they steal the money for schools, and then get the people to become impoverished, and then give them a little bit of something to say, vote for me.
Sweet,
Interestingly, what diasporans do is diasporans breach that gap, and they constantly send money home. but they never tell the people what to do.
So it's like we're feeding this baby, but we're not nurturing the baby.
Exactly. And then you're not giving direction to it.
Yeah.
And saying, listen, go, you know what? I want to send you £100.
We're not guiding it, yeah.
Yes, I'm going to send you £100. I always send you £100. You are my mom, you are my cousin, you are my nephew, you're my this, and I'm going to send you that money. But I want to see your voter's card before I send it.
That is a
and
good
and
one.
that
I'm
way
sure
you're
a lot of
now
people haven't
getting
thought about
them involved. And this is the message that I have been pushing there for the last 2-3 years, right? And today, one of the advantages of doing what we've been doing is that for the first time we now have 23 million new voters.
Wow, and that is exciting.
That's exciting, and that's not the only thing. We've also gone around campuses, and throughout last year and the upper years, when I was going on campuses, guess what? People were saying to me, Fela, you're wasting your time.
But you're not, because they're old enough to vote.
Guess
Once
what?
they're
The
18.
results are out now. INEC, which is our Independent National Electoral Commission, says there are 84 million registered voters, and for the first time in Nigeria's electoral history, the student population is by far the highest demographic. So now we have 22 million students. I'm not saying it's all because of what I did.
No, but
I'm only
there's an
saying that
awareness about
now
it.
there was an awareness, and we are waking up the people who typically don't vote.
Yes.
We are waking up the people who typically don't get involved. We are getting them to decide that this is the time for us to choose a different future from this thing that our old politicians have done.
Do you know what? Sitting here talking to you, all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself, when I was in Nigeria, were they voting? They were, because Shagari, I was in Nigeria, I left Nigeria in the 90s, 91. So they were voting around that time.
And the
but
current,
I just realised I've never voted before.
Yeah, but because that was a little stint. You know, there were only so the votes. Let me tell you something that's very interesting about this. And listen to this if everybody can. Nigerians voted in 1959.
Right.
And that brought the end to 58 years of colonial rule.
Yeah.
Okay? And then 20 years later, in 1979, which is when you say, they voted again in 1979 and brought the end to military rule.
Yes.
And then 20 years after that, they voted again and brought an end to military rule, another 14 years of military rule.
Yeah.
And
Who
20
was that
years
one?
that was when Obasanjo came in.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't in the country.
And then 20 years from there is 2019.
Yeah.
So if you notice, every 20 years, Nigeria goes through a cycle of renewal in government.
Yeah.
And we are about to do that again.
Again.
Right? But the reason why most people your age and my age don't really connect with the voting process is that they didn't see our parents vote. We didn't see our parents vote.
That's what I'm thinking.
Our parents
my
mostly
talk
didn't
about
vote
it.
because we were under military rule.
Yeah.
And the same military that ended Shagari's government in 1983 is the same person who is there now.
Well, I wanted to ask you a bit about that, because the other day I was watching Buhari was talking, he was having an interview, and they said to him, what would you do if you don't win? And his answer to that was, all the three times that I did not win, I went to court. Now, you tell me, if you don't win, but you are going to win, would you go to court?
Well, I don't think that...
It doesn't make sense.
That, for me, let me be clear about something.
Yeah.
And this is the point, though. Whilst I do believe that I represent the Nigerian people, and the Nigerian people will win, because there is a majority of Nigerians that are tired of the way things are and want a new Nigeria, not just a better Nigeria.
Exactly.
They want a completely different nation. They want a nation like the ones that you are living in today.
Well, that we're living here in
Having
the UK.
said that, even if we had problems with getting enough of them to believe that they can make that difference, and we did not win the election, I would still continue the things that I've been doing for the last 14 years.
You know what?
Which
That's
is
what
building,
that is what I wanted to hear from you.
Which is building the people that will build Nigeria into a most desirable nation.
Thank you. And that is that's just what I wanted to hear.
That's all.
I just wanted to ask
I didn't start this journey of nation building
yesterday
because I was trying to run for an office.
Good.
Yeah, I started this journey since 2004. Getting people to believe in the potential of Nigeria, because the potential of Nigeria is truly great. Nigeria can be any of the greatest nations in the world.
We were the greatest nation in Africa at one point.
Most of the countries that we know today that people are running to are not even as blessed as Nigerians are. So my point
Sorry, what about me?
So my point is that, all we need is what they have. Yes. What do they have? They have caring leaders. They have visionary leaders. They have competent leaders. They have leaders that are accountable to the people. This is what we need here in Nigeria. And that's what we are offering with Alliance for New Nigeria.
Wow. No, that is awesome. But I'm going to ask you something. What do you think are the 5 top main important things that need to be sorted out in Nigeria if you become president?
All right. So if you don't mind, I'll quickly do it as 5 things the government
That is
needs to
fine.
do,
Yes.
and 5 sectors that they need to do it in.
Good.
Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, that
All
is
right, cool.
definite.
So first of all, the first most important thing that we need to do in Nigeria is to reduce the wastage in government. There is an abysmal,
Yeah.
let me humongous level of wastage and corruption and things that come along with all of that. We must make sure that we reduce that. Number 2, we must make sure that we reform our civil service.
Yeah.
So that our civil service is geared to deliver excellent service to the people, as you see it in almost every other nation where things work. Number 3, we must restructure our country.
Wow.
In other words, we must restructure our country in a way that devolves power from the center to especially the local government, where that is the place that people, every Nigerian lives in a local government.
Yeah.
Every Nigerian works in the local government. But the local governments have been so disempowered and not financed to the point where, so we got to make sure
there has to be that breakdown for it to work.
So we got to restructure. But then we got to restructure our economy. So that's number 4.
Yeah.
In other words, we got to make sure that we release all of the wonderful mineral resources, natural resources, and human resources that we have in a way that makes it exciting for communities to say, I've got gold here, I've got coal here.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, the way it currently works is that everything that comes from beneath the earth in Nigeria belongs to the federal government, and they only give 13% to the state, nothing to the local government, nothing to the community.
Which is not right.
Good. What we are saying is government will ensure that 20% of the revenue that comes from anything you take from a community goes to that community in infrastructure, in roads, in schools. But
which makes sense because it will help that community grow.
And then 20% will go to the local government, wherein that community is in. And then 20% will go to the state. And then 40% will go to the government, to the federal government. Now, so in doing that, you now realize that every community wants to say, hey, what do I have?
What do I have?
And what do I have on offer?
And it will create jobs.
Absolutely.
It will create stability within that community.
And also rural development.
Definitely.
Because then people don't have to run to the cities to get a job. There will be jobs in the towns and in the villages, and you will feel, so that is the number 4 thing. The number 5 thing is we must reorient our people.
You have to.
We have to change the way that Nigerians think. We have to, and we've got a 10-part simple reorientation program that I've been running for the last 12 years. Okay? And it's a 10-part system, very simple. It says, in the new Nigeria, every Nigerian will make a positive impact on everyone we meet and everywhere we go. And we say to everyone, so...
How do you encourage that?
Number 2, I'll tell you in a second. 2, be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. 3, be a role model worthy of emulation. Number 4, be your best in all you do, particularly the things you are naturally good at. Number 5, do the right thing at all times, regardless of who's doing the wrong thing. Number 6, value time and make the best use of it. Number 7, care and show respect to all through your words and your actions. Number 8, consciously build a great legacy, starting today and every day. Number 9, live a life of integrity and honor. And number 10, make your family, your nation, and your God proud. Now, you asked me a very valid question. How do you drive this into the heart of the people? This is what the National Orientation Agency in Nigeria has always been empowered to do, but didn't have the content to do. In other words, now you're putting content, and so you're going to drive this through schools. You're going to drive this through radio, through media, through every. And so it's going to be embedded in the curriculum through work. So when people get to the office, they will get those. So and then you also work with even the religious institutions, so that wherever it is, whether it's a mosque or a church, they would also teach on those values.
Don't you think some of those religious institutions need restructuring themselves?
Oh well, and you are true. But one of the most important things that we'd like to say is that those are 5 things that we must do. However, we must also focus on 5 key areas. Number 1, agriculture. Number 2, security. Number 3, power. Number 4, industry. And number 5, infrastructure. And when I talk about infrastructure, I'm talking not only roads and rail, yes, that's important. Not only IT, yes, that's important.
That is major.
But more also education, which is for mental infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then for health and hospitals, we must have primary healthcare centers in every local government in Nigeria.
Yes.
That is for human.
Well, I think
and
you
then
need,
the last
in
one.
some places you need more than one because
Oh,
these
yes.
cities, Nigeria is such a big country, and I think people forget that it's not like the UK that is quite little.
Yes.
Now the journey that you've just made here, if it was Nigeria, it could have taken you 3 hours to get here.
Possibly.
You understand?
Possibly.
Apart from size and traffic.
Yeah.
But some Nigerian little towns are massive towns.
Yes, you're
So,
right.
yeah.
And what's happened here, as you can see, is that in a way, London itself has become a big city made up of a collation and a connection between smaller cities.
Yeah, we've got
so
all
all
the
of these
boroughs, yeah.
little boroughs, right, were probably distances away from each other many years ago, but as development caught up with it,
Tunnels,
then you now realize that
trains.
all of a sudden it's one big city.
Definitely.
And that's one of the things that needs to happen in Nigeria. We need new cities. We need new cities that will be well laid out. We need
Lagos needs to be depopulated.
Yes, and the only way you can depopulate Lagos is to
create-
make sure that there are opportunities
Yeah.
for jobs and for people to grow in other cities
Hold on a
across
sec.
Nigeria.
Sorry, there's a question for you. Let's just look at this. David Abiodun says, what is, sorry, and this might take us out, but I think it's good to at least have a listen to what people are saying. What is the definition of corruption?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, corruption is any act
Yeah.
that subverts a natural process, okay, to empower myself,
Yeah.
right? To empower myself and take value away from that process. So
Yeah.
somebody might say, "Oh, you like that, you don't like it." What that means is that, for instance, if your job was to get me a bottle of water,
Yeah.
and you said to me, "I will give you a bottle of water, and I'm paid to do so, but you must give me £2 before
Before I
give
go
you."
and get that,
You
yes.
have subverted the natural process and
Yeah.
order, which was that you were paid to give me this water, right?
Yeah.
And because you have empowered and enriched yourself by subverting that process, you are corrupt. The question is, have you stolen? Do you know that some people will say you haven't stolen anything? Not from the
In
organization.
Nigeria, you haven't
Yeah.
stolen.
No, even here, because
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
if you were told to give me this water and you were
Yeah.
paid to give me the water, you have not yet stolen by giving me the water, but you have extorted me.
Yeah.
Now, this is the point. So corruption is stealing. Corruption is extortion.
more than just
corruption
stealing, yeah.
is inflation
Yeah.
of contracts. Corruption is anything that makes you have to, in a sense, get more than
you
the value
augmented.
that you were
Yeah.
that you're paid to give.
Yeah.
So for some people, and when people ask questions like what is corruption, sometimes I'm saying, is it that you really want to know what corruption
Or
is?
you're just
Or you're just trying to look for one way to be able to say, because the point is everybody
Yeah.
knows corruption.
Yes.
Yeah. So the
Exactly.
gentleman who is
David Abiodun, bless him.
yeah, God bless David. But Nigeria, listen, and this is very important, Susie. Nigeria the potential of Nigeria has been completely eroded because
Killed,
of
yes,
corruption.
yes.
Right? Corruption is it's a poison. Corruption is a thief. Corruption is a robber. It robs you even of your own conscience and consciousness.
Yeah, and
so it's important that people understand that, when we see corrupt people and we think to ourselves that those guys, they stole government money. No, they're stealing
Your
our
money.
roads.
Yeah.
They're stealing our healthcare.
Yes.
They're stealing our power.
Education.
They're stealing our education.
Kids'
and not only
future.
just for ours, but for our children
Yeah.
and for the other people that we see. Corruption also does something that is very bad. It robs the economy of necessary cash to grow.
And that's why you don't have a good police service in Nigeria.
You can't pay them.
A good
You're going to be
health
arguing with
service in
people
Nigeria.
about whether our minimum wage should be 30,000 naira. We have money.
That is crazy.
The money's being stolen, and
it's still being stolen, definitely.
But
There's no
can I
doubt
remind
about
you?
it.
Can I remind you?
Yeah, go on. No, I'm listening.
Can I remind you that any system, any party where there are godfathers who select the people that are going to run on those parties, and any party that uses cabal money to fund elections that bribes people
It's
to
always
vote,
going to be a corrupt
it will
nation.
always be a corrupt because
Yes.
they have to get their money back.
Yes.
And they have to get it
Yes.
back with. That's why the only way we can win the
Is to
election
get rid
and to
of
have a
them.
new Nigeria is to make sure that we are the ones that are given to nation builders.
Yeah.
And today, that's why I'm so proud of the young people in Nigeria. Our campaign has been funded purely by the collaboration and contributions of young people.
And that is amazing. And that's because they want change.
They want
That
change,
is
and they're
because
willing.
they do
They're
want
willing to
change.
give 500 naira, which would come to literally £1.
Yeah, but
right?
little drops of water make an ocean.
It is
That's
that,
what I
and
always
that's
say.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And not only do they give you, they also don't demand from you.
Exactly.
And so they are volunteering. They are making sure that things can happen.
And you know that happens here in the U.
Oh, yeah.
That is how the Western world works, and a lot of people don't realise that. Is that a lot of stuff is voluntary work as well, apart from that. But you know what? I wanted to ask you something, and this might take us out again. But I was listening, and I'm not going to mention any names, right? Because I don't think it's fair to mention names. And I heard one of the presidential candidates say yesterday, he was talking about what he felt as president of Nigeria he would need to do. And one of the things he said was roads, and he said double roads. And I thought, double the number of roads? How can you double the number of roads when the roads that you have are no good anyway? And you are losing people's lives on those roads every day.
Okay.
What
I must
What
say,
do you think of such a comment?
no, I do think that, first of all, let's understand Nigeria has 200,000 kilometers of road network.
Yeah.
About 18% of those, so roughly under 40,000 kilometers, are federal government maintained.
Right.
About 15% of that, roughly about 30,000 kilometers, are maintained by the states.
Right.
So between the states and the federal, they've got just about 70,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
The remaining
I
130,000,
understand the
okay,
calculation.
130,000 kilometers
Yeah.
is local government roads.
Right.
Most of the local government roads are not tarred. Most of the state and government roads are tarred, but are in incredibly bad shape.
So something like
So-
that Lagos.
Ibadan. Lagos-
No, it's the one
terrible.
going from Ogun State.
Yes, so that's so.
Because
there's-
I went on that road and that was sad.
Yeah,
I was
it
there
is
in
sad,
September, yeah.
and a journey that should have taken 45 minutes to go from Lagos to
We were there for
Ibadan now
about
typically takes you
2
something
hours.
between 2 to 3 hours,
And you know
possibly
why?
even 4 hours.
And you know why that is worse?
Yes.
I remember when they built that road.
Yes.
Because we lived in Warri, so
Yes.
we used to ply that road to
Yes.
come to Lagos all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And that journey used to take about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it was the smoothest journey
Absolutely.
ever.
That was when Nigeria used to work.
Yeah, and to come back to Nigeria and to see a hole the size of a hut,
Yes.
to see lorries looking like, you know, when you're on that road and you're driving beside a trailer, you don't know whether that trailer's going to top over on you because of the, you know, these.
And you must understand that what corruption has done is to allocate the not just the maintenance, sometimes the refurbishment of that
Yes.
road several times over. And people are in, you know, and this is what 16 years of the People's Democratic Party
Did.
and the last 3 years of the alliance with the APC,
APC has
the
done,
and all Progressive Congress Party, the last 19 years have brought us nothing but corruption, stealing, greed, and decadence. That is why Nigerians must say to themselves, it is enough. And I say to people, you must only vote to reward PDP and APC if you believe they've done a great job in making us a blessed nation, the poorest nation in the world. If you are happy with the way things are today, give it your vote to the people who
them,
made us the way.
yes,
But if you are not happy the way we are, then you must change your voting pattern and stop this thing of thinking that it is only two parties that. No, they don't even have the majority of the voting bloc.
They don't, because
They
you've got
don't.
91 parties,
Yes.
right? How
So,
many have you got?
so there are 91 parties, 73 candidates, and more importantly, you know, and this is the thing: many of those parties were formed by the two big parties.
I know, they break off and
So
form
that
another
they
little-
form
because they're upset.
No. In fact, what they do is that they do
come
that
back
so
together.
that they then at the end then they form what you call large
Is that what that lady did to you? That lady in your debate? What's her name again? Anybody give me that lady's name? The one that was in your debate, in the presidential debate.
No. Well, so that wasn't what she did. Though.
Oh,
that was what the party did.
That's what the party
that's why
did.
she pulled
and
out.
That's why she pulled out.
That's why she pulled out.
Yeah,
because she's not one of the. She's definitely not one of the.
But her party, as soon as she left, they were like, "We're with ABC."
No, I don't even think it was before. It was soon as she left. I think they were already going there, and she jumped off that bus.
Right.
So
and
that's what
doesn't that make, and to me, I think it, and I find it really sad that a high number of Nigerians, for some reason in their mind, believe that there are only two parties. Yes, I do understand that there will be major parties, just like here in the UK. I think we've got about 3 or 4 major parties. But Nigeria is 5 times the size of the UK. How can we only have 2 major parties? And these 2 major parties, as you have just said, they've had 16 years of ruling and nothing has changed. Nigeria has not improved.
And the only thing I tell people is, really, Nigeria has not had 2 major parties. We borrowed democracy and mimicked the democracy of the United States, which is where we borrowed it from, and mimicked the democracy of the United Kingdom, right? And in those places, you've got 2 major parties that have 2 distinct ideologies.
Different, exactly.
In this instant, PDP and APC are one party with one ideology, with one structure, one system. The other party is what we are now building. It's the party that says, no, we are not politicians, we are technocrats that will deliver good governance. So we're technocratians. No, we are not going to be people of corrupt means, we're going to deliver integrity. Definitely. Oh no, we are not going to lead to decadence, we're going to, so we are building a new party, and everyone who is not happy with the current political parties that have brought us where we are today, those people are the ones that we are asking, join us and let's build an alliance. An alliance basically talks about people coming together to build a new Nigeria. So the name of the party is Alliance for New Nigeria. Yeah.
Guys, forgive me. They want to ask you these questions.
Okay, that's okay.
So long as there's no silly ones from other parties, I'm okay. Sorry about that. I had to say that. What's this? Mr. Fela, you are good, no doubt about that. All we are saying, all the youth, can you?
She'll form a coalition and send these old guys. Right, you're right.
Right, so
and I wish I got the name of that person.
Sorry, that person is Prince
Adeluyi. Lawson. Prince Lawson.
Now, that would take me into asking you, and that is one question. I'm so happy that I'm so happy that you're sitting here with me, because I can now ask you that. What I'm going to say is this. I was in Nigeria in in April when I was there. I went up to the north. Now, one of the things that I saw was that over from Abuja to Makurdi, they were already displaying banners for the elections. Yeah, and so everywhere, I drove a 4-hour journey from Abuja to Makurdi, and everywhere you go, there's presidential, Senate, this and that. I was coming from Lagos. There was no such thing. Yeah? Which, to me, is a clear indication that something is not right, that a lot of stuff is focused in the north when it should be focused in the whole country. But with that makes me think, why did you guys not, a very long time ago, as in October, when you were given the go-ahead, was it October, to start campaigning. Why didn't you guys, a lot of you, sit down and just come together and form one big party?
Okay, so let me say that an attempt was made as far back as July.
Yeah.
And that attempt is what was called, very popularly known as PACT.
Right, yeah.
And PACT is presidential aspirants, not candidates yet, because we haven't gone through party primaries.
Yeah.
Aspirants, presidential aspirants coming together.
Yeah.
And in July, about 13 presidential aspirants came together. It later grew to about 18 of them. But also, in basically just trying to find out, how do we create a process that will be simple enough and help us to choose who
will be the because everybody wants to be it since they're coming from a party.
So in the course of finding out how to do that particular process, a few people decided they were not ready to be a part of it. So some people said, look, you know what, let's do this when we become candidates.
Okay.
We warned at that time, when we become candidates, we will no longer belong to ourselves. We will now be a part of a party.
To the party, yeah.
And you cannot just go and say, I am not doing anymore when a party is, so there's a party involved. You're going to need to bring the entire leadership of your party, blah, 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 blah. So that itself, and that's what, in a part, that's what the ACPN, Mrs. Ezekwesili's party, said she didn't have the right to decide that she was not running anymore. Okay, so that's one of the things. So you see what happens when your party is not in alignment with you as a candidate.
Yes.
But this was whilst we were aspirants, so we didn't have that encumbrance of the structure. And we were saying if we can take the decision now, it will help us because also we don't have time to do it.
Because it's just.
But the second thing was that some people said that, look, you know what, we need to, zone this to the north. And everybody said, no, we cannot zone this to the north. Some of the northern aspirants left. And so at the end, we were left
so wait, when you say that, they're saying that
they wanted to say that whoever was going to become the consensus candidate has to be a northerner. And we said no.
That old story.
No, that is we're not doing that. In the nation we're trying to build, and all of the candidates that remained said no, they were not going to do that. To cut the long story short, there were about 10 or 11 candidates that stayed back at the end to decide that they were going to choose amongst themselves who was going to become the candidate. And through a very transparent process that was agreed upon by everybody and put into a memorandum of understanding, and all of us signed the memorandum of understanding, we did that election. And it just happened that I had 4 votes, and Professor Kingsley Mogalu of YPP had 3 votes at the end of that process.
Oh, is that the guy that said that you guys wanted to politically assassinate him? Bless him. Right.
Thank you. Bless him.
I know my stuff, don't I?
Bless him. But it was the freest process, and it was recorded. It was recorded, and everything was there. But point being, and this is the most important thing, since then, 8 of those including myself, have stayed together.
So you guys are still together?
So we are together. Each and every one of those candidates are using the areas that they had strength, as at the time when they decided to stop their own campaigns, to back me up. They are using those areas to strengthen our campaign. So the point that I'm making is that I am carrying on my shoulders the aspiration of 7 candidates.
Wow.
So he asked the question, why don't we come together?
Yes.
Well, we are trying to come together.
You guys have only got 2 weeks to go,
It's not anything can happen, okay? But let me tell you one thing. I have consistently been a part of other efforts to make this happen.
God,
I have consistently said, to people, we've got to put Nigeria first, Nigerians next, and ourselves last. As long as we say that we must be the ones that will be the consensus candidate, we're going to run into trouble. So I have said, if it is not me, I'm willing to make sure that whoever it is, I will support. Some people thought that was weakness.
Hold on, fella. I want you to repeat that. No. That is not weakness. Sorry,
I have said it. I've been saying the same.
That again?
I've said the same thing again and again since last year. Even when I was going into PACT, I said if we go through a transparent process and I'm not the one that emerges as consensus candidate, I will support that consensus candidate.
But you know something? If all of you said that, do you know it would work?
That's where the problem has been. Is that we're still trying to get the other guys to say that.
What I would say is I don't understand why anyone would say, okay, I want to be part of this coalition if they're going in with the mind that I have to be president
and nobody else.
It doesn't make sense because common sense should... Do you know what? I've got to the point, and I have to say this, when I hear something like that, I've got to the point thinking, we Nigerians, I think there needs to be a criteria to be president.
Absolutely.
There needs to be a level of education to be... No, I'm serious.
No, but some of the people who believe that it has to be them
educated, please.
Have to... Some of them are some of the brightest minds that we've had.
Well, no,
this is a value crisis, though.
No, hold on a sec. Yes. Hold on.
Bright mind and values are different.
Exactly, you got that right.
So somebody just asked the question, do you believe Nigeria needs restructuring? I thought I did say that.
You did.
We absolutely need restructuring.
I think. Who is this? David Biodun, can you tell us when you say restructuring, are you talking about breaking up Nigeria or what? Because I don't know. I suspect he's talking about restructuring the whole country.
Well, so he's asked the question. If I
don't
believe
know if
so,
that's
what
it.
sort of restructure do I believe Nigeria needs? And I say I think Nigeria needs about 5 key areas of restructuring.
Yeah.
Number one is what I call devolution of powers, meaning the center is too strong.
It's
that
too
whole
big.
presidency, there's an
it's too
exclusive
small,
list
sorry, yeah.
of that is given to the, it's all about the presidency, and it doesn't work. It doesn't serve the people. The presidency is too far from the people. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure that we give more powers and responsibilities to states and to local government.
Yes.
For instance, the state governor is considered to be the chief security officer of the state. But the police does not report to the state governor.
So that does
Okay,
not make
so
sense.
so we need to have state police and maybe also community policing.
Yes.
That's one part of restructuring. Number two, okay, is there something else we need to do?
Wait, hold on. What's
Okay.
this?
Okay.
Go on, you talk. Sorry, don't mind me. Just ignore me.
number two.
I can't read that writing. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, I need it clearer. Yeah.
Number two
Yeah.
is we need to also look at what you call resource control. Remember, I was talking to you about the fact that the communities need to have the ownership of their resources,
Yeah.
and that leads us to the third one, which is the revenue reallocation. And I'm saying give 20% to the community,
Yeah.
20% to the local government, 20% to the state, and the federal government. The fourth level of restructuring that I believe is we need to restructure our political parties.
Definitely.
And like I said, we need to make sure that there is internal democracy within the parties to ensure that no godfather is the
Yeah.
one giving that. The last one is we need to restructure the minds of the people. Okay, and so that for me, I think, is the most important
Yeah.
thing right now. So that's what I think that this is about.
Right. So, can I ask you? So, if you were president of Nigeria, would you be minister of oil?
Absolutely not.
Just asking.
I'm not a specialist in that area, and it's an area of specialization. I'll tell you what we'll have, though. We will have, under an Alliance for New Nigeria-led government, we will have a minister for petroleum.
Yeah,
But
makes
then
sense.
we will have a minister for state for upstream,
Yeah.
a minister
Break it
for
out.
state for midstream, a minister for state for downstream,
Yeah.
and a minister of state for gas. And what you do by doing that is that you now release the bureaucracy
And the
that
pressure.
enables so that the oil industry can grow.
And
The
breathe,
oil
yeah.
industry currently is stifled. There's so much of investment that is looking to come into that industry, as with other parts of Nigeria, that is stifled and choked by bureaucracy. So for me, I believe very strongly that it is about getting the ministers to get the industry to be structured properly and managed properly, and that's what I would not be minister of petroleum. I don't have the capacities. I don't have the competencies.
I had to ask that.
But I will make sure that
Yeah.
we'll get the very best brains, the brightest brains,
Yeah.
and we will do what's best for the industry.
Do you know what? It sounds like to me Nigeria needs a lot of project work.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm serious.
The whole rebuilding of
Yeah.
Nigeria is itself an entire project.
Yeah.
It's a new Nigeria project. We need everybody. In diaspora, we need you. You have seen the new Nigeria. You are living in the new Nigeria. So it is believable. It is possible to you.
Yeah.
There are many Nigerians who don't know. I was talking to you about the people of Omo. There are 10-year-olds that have never seen light in Omo.
Yeah.
So talk less of telling that you will have constant power. So there are people who don't believe that Nigeria can work. We need a collaboration of Nigerians on ground and Nigerians in diaspora who will be able to bring ideas, bring experience,
Yes.
bring investment, and bring the labor together. And this is how we're going to build a nation that will work for everyone.
Wow, Femi, thank you. Fela!
It's okay.
Sorry.
I love you still. I love you still.
Sorry about that. Guys, you know what? I'm going to ask you guys to clap for him. Please. No, that was awesome. Thank you. That was awesome.
I appreciate your clap. I just would rather that you guys picked up the phone and call everyone
I promise you,
that
I
you
will.
send money
Yes.
to.
Yes.
If you say I have found someone who reflects the kind of leadership I want for my nation,
Yes.
then call the people at home
Yeah.
who can vote and tell them, especially the ones you send money to. Call them and tell them that
hope
they
you guys
must
are
vote.
hearing this.
And today I'm going to be at the Source University.
Yes.
I believe it is called. Okay.
Yes.
And this evening at 6:30, I'm going to be having like
I'm going to be there, don't worry. Yes,
lovely.
I'm coming
So I'm
down
going to
there.
have a town hall meeting,
Yeah.
and I'm inviting you to please come. And
Guys,
bring-
okay, sorry, do we have the location, please? I know it's near Russell Square.
Yeah.
Does anyone have that information so we can let people know where to go? Yeah.
I must say, unfortunately, that somehow
Sorry.
we weren't able to scroll through all
Do you
the
know what,
questions,
fella? I will
right?
give
But
you,
we'll find a way.
I will give you access to my
Thank
page,
you.
and you, during your free time, I don't expect it to
Thank
be
you.
why you
Thank
are
you.
still here,
Thank you.
but you can go back and answer any question. Because I think if you answer people's questions,
Yes.
that is a good
It
thing.
helps.
And
It
like
helps.
somebody has just said, my fear is the cowboy. But guys, we got
No.
to go now. So fella, if you quickly read that,
so
I'm
this
going to get told
this
off.
essentially is to say to you that I'm going to be at the Brunei Gallery of the SOAS University of London, and that's
Okay.
University of London, Thornhore Street, Russell Square.
I'll tell you what, don't worry. I will post it on my page. I will post it on my page. Everybody else can post it on their page. So just so that people know that they can have access to you
Yes.
today at 6:30. So if you guys want to be there, come there live, Central London, Russell Square. I will post it on my page.
Fantastic. It's
Fella, I
great.
want
Thank
to
you
say
so
a
much.
big massive thank you and a big massive thank you to your team.
God bless you,
Thank
please.
so much.
Thank you,
Sorry?
guys. Thank you for having me.
All
Thank
right
you.
then, thank you
All
and
right, let's build
bye.
a new Nigeria, guys. This is the election that matters the most. And I know for many of you who live here, in the UK or in the US or all across in diaspora, I want you to understand your voice matters. And if you can't use your thumb to vote, use your voice to influence those who can vote. That's why I came 2 weeks to elections, to remind you to make those calls. Call the people that you support. Call the people that you send money to. Call them and tell them that they should vote for the kind of person that you want. I want to say thank you very much. I want to say God bless you. I did not also...
No, exactly. I
I'm
just
sorry,
wanted to...
I didn't choose,
Moji,
I didn't choose
Moji,
anyone.
no, he did not choose not to use your question. Number one, I'm just seeing that. It's what we can see on my screen. He
Okay.
will come back to you later. Like I've just said, I've given him access. So no, he didn't refuse to answer your question. He didn't see it. And I will
thank
show
you.
you.
Thank you,
Guys,
Sheila.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right then.